there, and welcome. It's Psychic Cynthia here again, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Killian. And I want to welcome you to another one of my Cosmic Forecast videos. And actually, I'd like to wish you a happy Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year of Metal Ox. Happy New Year! Happy Lunar New Year. Actually, this is a little bit late because the Lunar New Year actually started, well, with the start of spring in the Chinese New Year, and that would have been, I believe, February 12th this year, yes. So last Friday, February 12th, a week ago, 2021. And, you know, I don't know if you know this or not. A lot of my viewers are Westerners, so maybe you don't, but the Chinese Lunar New Year actually starts with the second new moon of the calendar year, at least according, you know, to more traditional Asian and Chinese astrology standards. But here in the West, our psyche works a little bit differently because we use the Gregorian calendar, so there's a different kind of psychic relationship to time. So often we mark the Chinese animal signs according to our calendar year, but do understand, and I think that's legit, okay? I do think that's legit if you're living in the West. I think there has to be a blending, you know, of the energies. If you're like me, you're a Westerner who lives in the West, but also studies Chinese astrology as well. I mean, I have to bring both those energies together in my psyche in a way that will work for me. Now, if you're living in China, it's different, or somewhere where they're not using, well, they do actually use these calendars too that we use, but somewhere with more of a rooted tradition in these ancient traditions, so maybe it's more straightforward, is what I'm saying. But in any case, we definitely are now in the sign of Metal Ox for the year, whether you want to start it on January 1st, which would be more of a westernized version, or if you want to start with the actually start of spring, that second new moon the day after that. So February 12th is the beginning of the Chinese New Year of Metal Ox. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this. I've already done some videos about the year ahead from the Western perspective, and of course I do those every week, but because I really do find there is something in the Chinese astrology, and I feel that the Chinese zodiac and its year energies blend quite well with the Western energies and explain a lot of things that maybe aren't so easily explained by the Western astrology alone. So this year being, okay, let's start with the animal being an ox year. And by the way, for those of you who are familiar with Western astrology, you might want to think that there is some correlation between the Chinese sign, the animal sign ox, and the Western sign of Capricorn. Now, I know that in our zodiac, the Western zodiac, we have Taurus is ruled by the bull, so you might think that that's the same as ox, but it's not, okay? So, although the bull is related to ox, yes, you know, if you understand what a bull is totemically, I think you can understand a bit more about ox. But anyway, if you know Capricorn, then ox is related to Capricorn. I'm not saying they're the same systems at all. I'm just saying there is a correlation, an energetic likeness, a similarity, a resonance. So in any ox year, we have these themes that relate to endurance, the need for endurance, the need to persevere. I mean, does that sound familiar with what we're coming out of from last year? Yes, we do need to endure and persevere. You know what's very interesting, on the day that I was making this video for you, some news came through, science news about NASA, and NASA just landed today its 5th rover on the planet Mars, and it is called Perseverance. I thought that was really interesting. It's like the universe is just giving us more signs and messages about these energies through what's even happening, you know, in space exploration. So I might digress a little there, but not really, because this year of Ox is a year where we will need to focus on having endurance and perseverance. And, I think ideally we don't want to just survive. We want to find ways to thrive. And that's going to require some discernment this year and some focusing and some prioritizing. And, this energy of Ox is very different than the Aquarian energies that are really strong this year, but then not so unlike some of the Taurus energies that are strong. And what I mean by that is with the Western Aquarian energies of wanting to break free and to try new things and innovate, that's all part of the energies, too, from the Western. But here from the East, we have this energy of seeking stability, okay? We're going to need to have stability. We're going to need to reach for routines that support us. And, this is doubly true because, okay, we're not just in the year of Ox, because in Chinese astrology, each year can have one of 5 elements. So this is the year of metal Ox. And metal has a very hard quality. If you just think about what metal is. Even if you don't know Chinese astrology, think about what metal is. It's hard. And it is rigid and unyielding. So what we have here is we have a year, okay, when there's an Ox year too, and this means that we'll need to be strong, okay, because the load, the burden is heavy. And so many of us, we do feel that we're carrying heavy loads in an Ox year. And of course, a lot of this is going to be changed and morphed and, different depending on your own Chinese astrology signs. And listen, I can't give you a reading about that here on YouTube or Facebook. I mean, if you want to have a Chinese astrology reading with me privately, we can arrange that. And there's information on my website. And I'd have to calculate your chart and do all that. That takes time. But I love to have those conversations. So yes, if that's something you want to hire me for, that's great. But and you might be able to do some research on your own. Well, you certainly could, actually. It just would take time on your part. So do know that, for example, if you're a sign that is harmonious with Ox, or if you're a sign that's not harmonious with Ox or just not as similar, those of us that are more, freedom-loving and more fluid, like if water is strong in your Chinese chart, or even fire, maybe you don't play by the rules as much. Maybe, maybe you're more artistic and, or you like to party. Okay. The Ox and metal combination is not, as natural to you. Okay. So that's something to know. But yes, this is a year with the metal energies being what they are, I mean, I never recommend being rigid. I don't think that's, helpful. But then also with metal, maybe we need to be not so much rigid as more defined and organized in our lives. And again, that might be hard for some of you, some of us, depending on your natural signs. I have strong tiger in my Chinese astrology chart, and water. So this metal part doesn't always come so naturally to me. The Ox part a little bit because I'm born on the cusp. But so yeah, some of you will adapt more easily to this energy than others. But there are, there is a need, I think, to tend to our responsibilities, to tend to our families, and to prioritize. And, you could actually accomplish something big this year and have a very meaningful year if you focus on what is important, which we should be doing anyway. Should we always be focusing on what is important? I think that's true. Myself, I feel that when we do that, we're happier. But the difference is in some years you have extra energy to spare, so you can kind of indulge yourself in different distractions. But I don't think in this year of metal Ox you're going to have that extra energy to spare because there's a lot to carry, okay? And what would help you? I was thinking about what could help people carry this load, and what could help us persevere in this year? What could help us to have endurance? I think the thing that can really help, are structures and helpful routines, nourishing routines that strengthen you. And I believe that Okay, let me put it this way. Now, some of you watching this are going to be really great with routines, and you can follow the same routine all the time, and that is good for you. If that's the case, then just, take my guidance and run with it already. You know how to create a routine. You know how to stick to a routine. For others, like myself, I can stick to routines, but I can't stick to the same routine for a long time. So what helps me is to create seasonal routines. And that's what I would encourage you to begin thinking of, especially if you struggle with routines, like with keeping routines. I only have one routine I've really been able to keep forever. It seems like for over, I don't know, it's almost 30 years now maybe, and that is to get up and do yoga every day and some form of healing movement, and also combine that with meditation. So that's my one routine I'm able to really stick with. But and maybe you could have one this year. Maybe instead of trying to get a lot of different routines, another way to do it is just find one thing that you will commit to doing daily that will nurture you or help you get closer to your goal. And that would help. But the other thing I was going to say, if you're like me and you kind of aren't very good at keeping routines, I have that one, but like I'm terrible at taking like vitamins forever. I can take them for a time, but that's it, and I have to switch up my exercise routines. Basically, I have to switch everything up every so often or I get bored. Maybe you're the same way. So think seasonally, and it sort of makes sense to do things seasonally, like right now with it being winter and being frozen. There's a beautiful red bird over there. I don't know if I'll be able to get a picture of her later, maybe. But so right now, I sleep in later, and I sleep more. I sleep more in the winter. But come spring, and especially summer, I don't sleep much because I have a garden to take care of. And I have to get up earlier. If I want to sleep more, I might have to take a long afternoon nap, because even though I'm not a morning person, I have to get out in the morning, especially in the summer. Maybe not so much in the spring, but in the summer. I just don't sleep much in the spring. So that's an adaptation to the time of year. So the important thing is just to have routines, to know what they are, to clarify them, and have routines that build up your strength and facilitate perseverance and endurance. And through that, you'll be able to prosper more in the year of Middle Ox, and you'll be able to get along better with others. The other thing I wanted to think, or was thinking about this and wanted to say on the year of Middle Ox for you all, is to know that this is the year for long-term planning. It's better to think about what you can accomplish long-term than short-term, because in an ox year, and I would think it would be doubly true in a Middle Ox year, things just require more energy than they normally would. You move slower. It feels like sometimes you're carrying a heavy load even when you're not. And that's why you need to, again, to prioritize, and then also to have that long-range goal, something that can inspire you. I think even though it may not be part of the metal element, metal is friendly to water. Metal carries us towards water, and water is the artistic element in the Chinese astrology. So I think something that might help carry you through this year and help you to be less weary is to have some sort of artistic or creative or spiritual goal, some sort of aspiration. It doesn't even have to be a goal. It can just be an aspiration, something you aspire towards. You're reaching towards something of a higher, finer nature. And I don't know what that is for you. I don't know if that's something relating to, music, art, dance, or poetry, sewing, or birthing a healing practice, reaching out to others with your own readings, maybe. Water is also connected to travel in a way in the Chinese, so because water moves across the planet. So maybe this is making long-term travel plans. But however it is, even if you're doing in the financial realms, okay, or the family realms, if you will have more of a long-term vision outside of this year, that will help you to stay sane, stay happy, feel better, and also be more productive. It will help you to carry your load. Your load will feel lighter.
And listen, the other thing I would encourage you all to think about, if you can, when you can, and maybe it's not for all of you, okay, but for those of you who can, think about in this year of Metal Ox, think about the small little things you can do to lighten somebody else's load, or maybe just to help them carry it. Sometimes just giving a person a compliment, noticing them, appreciating them, reaching out, encouraging them, that can really make a person's day. That could be the thing that could keep them going. So when you can, when you have a little extra energy to spare, if you do, say or do something nice for others. Show kindness. Let's move away from the energy of contempt that has become, so widespread these days. It's almost like it's, expected or cool to put others down or have contempt for others. Let's try to move towards kindness, and it might be hard in a metal year, but I think ultimately the Ox part of us all knows it's more practical to band together and to help each other carry the load when we can. Again, even if it's just you're helping through a smile or, maybe a more tangible way. Search within your heart and ask how you might be able to do that, because I find that when I show kindness for others, when I give them a lift up, it gives me a lift up too. I don't know if it works that way for you, but maybe it does. Okay, you might try it and see in this year of Metal Ox. I'm wishing you all much peace, abundance, blessings, prosperity, joy, and health in the year of Metal Ox. Until next time, bright blessings.